I'm gonna let life move me. I'm gonna let life move me. And gonna let. That's right. And their actions too, okay? So, again, I'm gonna let life move me. I'm gonna let life move me. I'm gonna let life stir me deep. I'm gonna let life stir me deep. I'm gonna let life wake me. I'm gonna let life wake me from an ancient sleep. From an ancient sleep. I'm gonna laugh all my laughter. All my laughter. I'm gonna cry all my tears. I'm gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. I'm gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. Dun dun da 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 da. Again. Dun dun da 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 da. Maybe we can do it together. I'm gonna let life move me. I'm gonna let life stir me deep. I'm gonna let life wake me from my ancient sleep. I'm gonna laugh all my laughter. I'm gonna cry all my tears. I'm gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. Dun dun da 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 da. Dum dum da 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 da. One more time. I'm going to let life move me. I'm gonna let life stir me deep. I'm gonna let life wake me from my ancient sleep. I'm gonna laugh all my laughter. I'm gonna cry all my tears. I'm gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. Dum dum da da dum dum da 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 dum dum da da dum. Dum dum da da dum da da dum dum da da dum. Dum dum da da dum da dum dum da da dum. Woo! Dum dum da da dum da dum dum da da dum. Thank you.
Good morning, beloved, beloved relatives. You are so beautiful, and your beautiful devotion. Ooh. So, thank you for inviting me here. And we're going to begin with another song. Sister Luknim invited this, and this song is just perfect for this occasion. It's called Spirit Calling Song. So for all our spirits and the spirit of the earth and well, there's endless spirits in creation, but this is Spirit Calling Song, and what I like to do is I'll sing one line, you sing the next line, I'll sing the next line. We do that twice, and then the third and fourth times we sing it together, okay? Feels good. So I'm going to start and do some introduction for myself, because who is Ejna, you know? So I'd like to share a little bit about my background, and then we'll move on to more adventurous things. So I am from the Crow Creek Sioux Nation in South Dakota. I am enrolled there, and my mother comes from another reservation, also in South Dakota. And because of those, my parents, I am related to practically all the tribal people in South Dakota. So I have a very big family from that lineage. But I also have French, and that's where my last name, Fleury, Ejna Fleury. And my mother's maiden name was Lebeau. So I have French coming from my father's side and my mother's side. So I feel really honored to be able to share some of my French connection with you too. And sometimes I feel like I want to speak with a French accent, like, bien, you know, or something anyway. So, and I know that, Oh, so I want to share a little more, yeah. So I am a mother and a grandmother. I have 5 children, and my 5 children are ranging from age from 39 years old to 51 years old. And my grandchildren, I have a newborn granddaughter. She was born October 30th. So she's just 7 days old. Maeve. And my eldest grandson is 20, so I have 9 grandchildren, 5 girls and 4 boys. And my background, I have been a nurse for 43 years. So I've been a nurse longer than probably several of you have been alive. And I've also been a psychologist. I have took a degree in psychology also. And then I also helped with between the tribes and the federal government to set up a relationship with the tribes for healthcare in the United States. And then after that, I have moved into what I'm calling spiritual activism. So I would say that that is related to Tay's engaged Buddhism. So I think that's our intersection. And so for the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe in South Dakota, where I'm from, it's a very small tribe. It's very, very poor. And the conditions there are still very wretched. It's a strong word, but that is the truth. There are no jobs there, very few jobs, and the suicide rate is still very high. And so there is still very, very much suffering amongst tribal nations in the United States. And that is partially my mission, is not only the suffering from the indigenous in the United States, but indigenous around the planet. And I am also the peace ambassador for our tribe. So my mission is for peace. And my mission is also for love. So I want to set a context for all of my sharing today, because I'm going to be moving on to some radical action. So I want to pique your interest a little further. So the context is the global emergency that we're in right now. In some ways, it seems hidden, especially in the developed countries. The people still have running water, and they still have electricity, and we drive cars, and it's kind of hidden. But we can see it growing in the cities in the United States. I don't know about Europe, but the cities in the United States, the homeless population is growing. And we see tents, little tent cities within the cities, tents springing up all over. And I don't know about Europe or other parts of the world. So this is an indication of collapse. And there is already millions of humanity, of humankind, that are in migration from war, from famine. South and Central America, we have this big migration that are coming up, and they're being stopped at the border between Mexico and the United States. And it was in the news for quite a while, But then our news media stopped that because it was too much revealing to the closed. The United States is mostly closed to immigration and migration right now. There are migrations in Africa. There are camps for refugee camps, huge refugee camps. There are orphans in the big cities in Central South America. I don't know about the orphan populations all throughout Indonesia, Asia, Europe, but the orphans are a special population to my heart, very much so, and the children. So that's part of the context. The other part of the context is the foment that's happening right now. We see that we are, the recognition that things are in a terrible state is growing. And we see it in XR, the Extinction Rebellion. We see it in the women's marches that were taking place several years ago, the women's movement. We see it in the March of the Youth. So humanity is, I say, it's part of waking up. And that's part of what we here need to be listening to. I also want to set the context for we human beings, because we are a very precious and unique emanation, creation, that Creator has been bringing forth. And mostly, too many of us don't know that, but we need to know, we need to start recognizing more and more in our awareness and in our practices and in our capacity that we are great beings, and we are being called into our greatness for these times. So this is part of the context, that we let go of those habits, of the limitations of our beliefs, and the limitations of the way we think about ourselves, and keep opening more and more in all of our meditations and to our dreams. We live not only in this dimension. We humans, we have this capacity. We live not just in this dimension. We are multi-dimensional beings. And we need to voice this, to recognize it, to allow ourselves to participate more with the broad range of consciousness. So this comes to the next context, is people have talked about what is called paradigm shift. It's called the Great Turning. Joanna Macy is especially known for calling it the Great Turning. But this is this time right now. And I am alluding to something I'm going to talk about a little more, is our capacity that we have. Humans, we have infinite capacity for love and our consciousness, the range of our consciousness. We have kept it in too much limitation. So this is part of the context for what I am saying to us. And the other context is my pledge, my devotion, my commitment as a mother, as a grandmother, as a spiritual being that arising from Earth and the cosmos, to do all that I can for bringing greater awakening and healing and mitigating, ending the suffering. So that's the context. And now I want to move on to love. And I'm going to start with a story, a vision that I had. And this is another, see, I set that context so I can go back and forth as I tell these stories and relate to the greatness of our being. So this is a vision, and we have the capacity for visions. And I suppose most of us here have had these happen for us, visions. And they're not talked about very much, but we need to be sharing more. So this vision, as I talk about my visions and my dreams, they become your visions and your dreams, because we're not really separate. So this vision came when I was 40 years old. So this was 33 years ago. Yes, I am 73 years old. And I visited my mother. I was going to visit my mother for my birthday in South Dakota. I was living in California. I went back to South Dakota. And lo and behold, I was given a pipe. It's called a peace pipe. And I'm not going to go into the super details of the pipe, of how it came to me, but it came on my 40th birthday, and I have my pipe here with me, and it is from the lineage of what is called White Buffalo Calf Woman Bundle, and the teachings of the Lakota people, and some of the ceremonies that they have from this. So this pipe is my personal pipe. I use it only in small personal ceremonies. I'm not a pipe ceremonialist. There are Chief Orgeville Looking Horse is the keeper of the main pipe from 19 generations from this pipe, and this is related to that pipe lineage. And also on my 40th birthday was this vision. So I don't know if you might want to close your eyes, but I'm going to share this vision with you. So So this is we're laying there, and then we're lifted up out of our body, and we're over this small mountain, this small forest. We can see the two rivers coming together, and then we're flying east, and we come to another place. It's called the Minnesota, the Missouri River in South Dakota, and we're hovering over this river, and we see the vast plains, and they're kind of brown from the summertime and yellow. And then we're being flown west, and we're once again over the plains, but this time we see this small river, and there are two bands of people. There's this one to the south. There are lots and lots of people there with horses and walking and scurrying and camping, and They're all worried. And then the north side, up on some hills, are these soldiers. There's an army that's gathering over there. And this is actually called the battle, the Custer Battle, the Battle of the Little Bighorn. And suddenly, I'm Earth. We're Earth, lying there. And we can feel, I can feel my children. They're all in consternation. They're all in worry. They're all in fear. They're all in panic. They're in various stages of unrest. But the earth and the sun, we are like great, great brother and sister, and the love. I am total love, and I love my children, and I love the sun, and there is so much infinite love, and I can feel the winds caressing the grasses across my plains as they blow across me. And this love, and I care so deeply for my children who are, they're sort of like little ants, but they're so precious, every single one of them, all in their worriedness. And suddenly, I am taken into one soldier. He's on the side of the hill, and he's dug out a little indentation, in the dirt so he can kind of snuggle in there. And he knows he is going to die this day. He knows he's going to die, and as the fear starts to enter his heart, suddenly he is thinking of his lovely wife and his son. His son is maybe 2 years old, and his love for his son and his wife are bringing him great comfort, and he is at peace, though he knows he is going to die. And then I am brought out of that, and I'm brought back into this level again. And the reason I'm talking about this vision with you is because of that I am, even though I'm Lakota, Dakota, I am pan-tribal, and as a citizen of our planet, and as a part of the citizenry of our cosmos, that those differences that were there between these people who are going to have a fight, a battle, are held in love already. That there's a greater love that's greater than all those battles. And that love that gave comfort to that soldier who was going to perish that day. And he had no fear, even though he knew he was going to die. And I want to tell you another story. This is a ceremony that it was forbidden for many years for our tribe. It's called the horse dance ceremony. And my cousin and I and Orville Looking Horse held this horse dance ceremony in May every year for 4 years. And this ceremony is for healing the women and the children. And this is what happens in the ceremony. The whole community gathers. So in this case, my tribe, my small community there at Crow Creek, we gathered way out on the plains, and we put up a teepee, a ceremonial teepee. And the teepee needs some further explanation. because do you all know what a teepee is? Okay, yeah. It's circular, and then those lodge poles are brought together, and they're brought together in a certain way, so they circle at the top, and then they spiral out. And so when you have ceremony inside of that teepee, the energies are gathered. They go up the poles and they come through the air. And when they gather there, where all the lodge poles come together, it's magnified. It's magnified, and then all that energy goes out into the universe. And the opposite is true. As energies come in for healing, prayers, they're gathered here, and then they're brought into the teepee. So the teepee, we erected the teepee, and then we have the area where the horses are going to run. It's all laid out. It's a big, huge circle where the horses will run. And we see far off coming are the horses. The riders are bringing the horses, and they're riding, and the horses all have decorations because we want to honor the horses. And they're coming, and then they're coming closer, and then they arrive, and they circle first way around the camp, and then they're gathered to the side, and then the whole community, the women and the children of the community, are around the teepee. And then Arvel and the singers who know the horse dance songs. There are specific songs for the horse dance ceremony. They're healing songs. And they start playing those, and then the riders get up and they ride the horses around 4 times. And they stop, they get off, they dance. The horse dance songs are playing. Then they get up and they ride around. The horse dance songs are going out to the universe. And we in the center, the women and the children, as we look out and we watch those horses circling us, suddenly beauty, it's like beauty itself is like we're all surrounded in beauty and healing, and we're just the tears from the beauty and the healing of the beauty as we watch this ceremony is very, very, very profound. Then after the horses finish dancing and they're put to the side, then the whole community, we gather and we walk in the footsteps of the horses, where the horses ran. We all walk where the horses are so we can participate with the horse spirits. And that I talk about this because of the love and ceremony. Not everybody has to do a horse dance ceremony, but ceremony itself, when you invite Wakan, power, in, then things can happen. And you open, when you're in ceremony, you open, and you can be changed, and that changes your consciousness. And you can get understandings in ceremony. Boom, you have some epiphanies of revelation or healings in ceremony. So now I'm going to go on to another dream. And I'm calling this the Hogan dream. And I had this dream in 1987. So I was 41 years old. And since I am pan-tribal, this is a dream about a Hogan which is a dwelling or a ceremonial place for the Navajo Nation and the Hopi Nation in the Southwest. Do any of you know what a Hogan is? Some of you. It's a little dwelling, a little hut. It's got 8 sides, and sometimes it'll have, it varies. This particular Hogan I'm going to talk about has 2 windows. And then in the center of the Hogan you can have a little fire, and then there's a smoke hole. So there's, it's usually wooden. They have wood on the 8 sides, and then a lot of times they'll have earth on the top of the Hogan. So sometimes you'll see grass growing up there. So that's a Hogan. So this dream, and this is a dream for you also. It's nighttime, and I am over the plains of the desert, and I look down and I see a Hogan down there. And there's smoke coming out, and I can see in the windows, 2 windows, that there's light in there, so that I know there's fire in there in that Hogan. And then suddenly I'm inside of the Hogan, and I'm sitting with a council of people all around the campfire, the fire in the center of the Hogan. And they are all sharing healing, medicine, teaching, wisdom. We're all sharing and learning from one another all night long. Where the mystery, love, healing, care, all sharing with one another. And then I look out the window, and it's starting to get a little light, and we all stand up. And we all stand up and we start walking around the campfire, the fire. And this is hard to do with a microphone, but I'm going to do that I can, because I want you to see this. We started bringing in love, power, light, lightning, crackling, mystery. We start walking around and around the campfire, and we're going, and we're pulling in spirit, mystery, and we're seeding in the earth, and we're placing this into this level. And then I look out and I see that many people are starting to walk toward the sunrise. And so we go out and we start walking also to the sunrise of a new day. And we see the sun coming up. And then I wake up from that dream, and it was very powerful. I couldn't understand it fully at that time, but I realized now, in this last 3 years, that this dream is about, for these times, that what is needed now is greater connection with Wakan, mystery, Great Spirit, the deep, and the transformation that is already happening. Ska ska. Ska ska is a term that we have for our nation. Power is moving. Ska ska. Different indigenous groups across the planet are having ceremonies come back. The healing knowledge is growing. Different groups are coming together. Not just indigenous, but people are gathering themselves because we're ready for a new way of being in with one another on earth. And this is what has been, we've been saying this on the panels, and we know this in our hearts. And the people, many people across the whole world know that the leadership and the way we have things structured now is wrong. And these institutions are crumbling. Are any of you familiar with deep adaptation? Can I raise your hands really high? Okay, there are not very many. Deep adaptation is a term that was brought forward by a man named Jim Bendell for these times, that it's not just climate emergency, that it's social emergency. And all of our social structures are on like shaking on a deck of cards. And that his prediction is that we will be having total societal collapse in 5 to 10 years. And he struggled with himself about this in depression and grieving. But then he had this renewal within himself that, whoa, this is not present right now, so we need to have some, if I'm knowing this, then what am I going to do? So that's where he came up with deep adaptation, for getting and making action. And so this is growing where people are beginning to face this type of emergency, because it's not exactly easy to think of 5 billion or 7.5 billion people in total chaos because all of our institutions have collapsed. And food and water will be one of the first needs that will need to be addressed. So I'm bringing this up because there are many here who already are participating with this kind of knowledge, I guess you could say, understanding, belief. And at the same time, we also know that there's this growing knowing amongst humanity, a readiness for a different way. Thank you. So now I'm going to move into a more, what I'm calling a more radical part of what I'm going to share. Satish said that when you're going to say something radical, you should bow. So that was my bow. And then he said that when you're finished, then you bow again. So we're in the inner part of the sandwich now. Okay. Oh, I'm glad we can start this part of it with some laughter. So what I am going to propose is how we grow love, how we can spread love, and the love for Earth and the love for one another, and touch this infinite capacity that we have for love. And I'm glad I have your attention right now. What I would propose is that we form that council in the Hogan. So what that council could look like is, if we gather as many as we can together, of our most loving, humanitarian, eminent peacemakers, leaders, way-showers for peace, for love, for harmony, for transformation. If we gather them together, because each singly they have a great voice and a great spiritual force. But the minute you gather many of them, for instance, you gather as many as we can of the Nobel Peace Laureates, if we gather our eminent leaders across the different nations right now, I guess like people like Charles Eisenstein and well, most of the names are mostly the peace laureates, but outside we need more than just peace laureates. We need eminent leaders in various fields of action, of education, music, media, arts. If we gather them, we could have and bring forth the greatest voice of love that we have ever known to ring forth across our whole planet. And this voice could be so profound and so far-reaching, because we have this capacity for love, but we also have this connection right now to talk to one another via media, via gatherings. And this could be an example of a greater compassionate type of leadership. It is not for political leadership, it is for spreading love, and so that we can surround our planet with this great ethos, this great blanket, this great cloud, this great mystery, this great of love. And how we do that is, there are very, very many ways. By gathering people, I'm calling it a Sacred Earth Council, but I'm thinking maybe it could be a Beloved Earth Council, something like this. They can suggest to our leaders. They could confront the leaders. They could evoke the leaders. They could, but this is part of the work of gathering and creating more love. Is how do you educate? Educate. How do you call forth the eminence of a person? How do you call forth leadership of people? But that's one of the things that they would need to be doing. And this council could give support to all of the different circles that are gathering already across the planet. And they need to call forth for people to gather, to come together in circles of healing, in circles of harmony, in circles of learning, circles of education, circles of food growing, circles of in preparation. Because as these structures are crumbling, the only way to answer that is for us to hold hands, to hold one another. And as we hold one another, and this love and the inspiration of love can be there, we don't even know yet what we were going to create. And that's part of the excitement of these times. Because there are millions of us that we're not very connected right now, but we're being connected. And this council could create a greater connection for all of us who are already willing to be vulnerable and to love, but to gather others. And there are the brilliance, our natural brilliance has not been allowed to shine forth. We see our brilliance in maybe just a few scientists or anyway, just different people in different capacities around the world. But when each baby is born, it's born brilliant. And we're not allowing our true, beautiful brilliance to shine forth and shine forth throughout our whole life. And when that baby is born and it's so cherished, not every baby is cherished, but most babies are so cherished as they enter the world. And to cherish one another our whole lives like this. Like when we meet in silence and we're not talking, but we come together and we cherish one another in a hug. And this cherishing can be a shining example. So I was talking about our brilliance, that there are already people who are inventing machines that, with the modern knowledge in physics, these machines are able to produce energy, I think, from just about nothing. But they cannot come forward because it's dangerous right now. And part of what this council and this great ethos of love needs to do is to create enough safety for us to heal from, to forgive ourselves the abominations that we have done, because we have done every abomination that we could ever imagine. We have already done it. We are doing it right now. We torture. We hack people, we abuse animals. We're doing it already, so let's just stop. And then the great forgiveness and the great compassion can flow. Because we don't need to continue now in those ways. But they do need to be named. And I'm not divorcing myself from it because I have done every abomination imaginable. And the love, great love, that is far beyond anything that we could ever imagine, is the great the great healer. And for us to allow ourselves to become the true family that we are. We are absolutely family. And one other realization I had this morning was about the leaders. And the people who are very, very, very wealthy, who want to hang on to things and are afraid, or just being really powerful or whatever, however, or closed. But that the times are so crucial right now that these people who are trying to build spaceships to go off, find another planet, or bunkers, all kinds of bunkers to survive, who knows how long, if there's a nuclear winter or whatever. We cannot do this unless we do this all. They are not excused. They can't escape. There's nowhere to go. We are the family of humanity. And we all carry the legacy of trauma. It's in our genes, it's in our DNA. It's epigenetic shows that we carry this, but we're also capable of healing this. So I am proposing the formation of a great council of love for leadership, to call forth from the grassroots to the global love, compassion. Let our brilliance shine. Inspirations will come, and we'll be able to perform a lot of magic. The image I hold about this is a kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope, you hold it, and it's beautiful, and then you turn it, and it's beautiful in another configuration. And that's what I would hope for humanity, that we could just make another beautiful configuration where we love one another. So there is a prophecy, and there are prophecies amongst the various tribes across the United States, but one of them is from Black Elk, and it's called the mending of the hoop. So you mend the hoop, you repair the hoop, you repair the family of humanity. And so that's part of my lineage, is from Black Elk's people also, the mending of the hoop. it would be wonderful for us to have some time to talk. Somebody's leaving. I'm trying to give enough images of the possibility of having a great voice, a voice louder than the current politicians, and a voice that will go into the hearts of people. But it would also be able to have education, because as a mother, a grandmother, and part of our family and the earth, we don't want even one single person to continue to suffer or to die, even though there's 7.5+ billion of us. You know, I want all of us to live, you know. So the potential for this is the great wave, and ska-ska, power is moving, and synchronicity of how, you know, things just at the right time, the synchronicity of how you have an inspiration, you meet the person at the right time, the synchronicity of being brought together. So will Earth and Wakan are ready. We just have to open our hearts and minds and be ready too. So I want to close my remarks, but I'd like to have, I don't know, is this a time to have some dialogue? Where is... Would anyone like to say anything or have some feedback or anything like that? Yes, somebody would. Yes.
You can have a microphone, sorry, so everybody can hear you. I'm here.
Thanks. I just wanted to propose to, I don't know, anyone interested to think about this on more practical basis, and how to make it realistic. And what I thought when you were sharing this is that gathering a lot of inspiring people from all around the world in one physical place is not only not sustainable, but also has been done already quite a few times. So how can we make it differently? And yeah, I don't know if we can gather key people and just record a Zoom call, and you know, something very simple and doable. Yeah, just thinking about how to make it realistic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That absolutely has, I keep getting asked that. And it's important that I don't carry this anymore alone. So, but I feel like there was certain key people, and yes, there have been powerful people gathered, but I feel that with gathering enough of the key people, that we would have a great voice. And you know, even if the voice needs to go out, that's what the voice for humanity and the love needs to go forth more powerfully than ever before. Yeah.
I would like to express my gratitude for your words, because you focus on a very important thing when you speak about babies. You say every baby is born brilliant. This is very, very important. because you stress, you focus on the fact, the things that when we care, when we give care, and the caring attitude, this brilliance can be very, very high, very huge. And so I have very deep gratitude with your message, because your message is a message that empowers people, empowers with the awareness of our power, our force, when you speak about synchronicity. And so it is very important to trust our visions and to trust our power to do things, and never abandon this power. So thank you very, very much for your life, also your commitment with this message. This is very important for us to be empowered by you and to spread out in our place your message. Thank you very much.
So we're going to close with this song that we sang, because we want spirit and the mystery of our own generativity, creativity, and our ancestors, and all the beings that are working with us to continue to be with us. So let's sing Spirit Calling Song, and it will be complete. Okay.